teaching, and this is the Infinite Elevation Hour. I'm here with my co-host,
Arlene Germain.
And we're here to talk about spirituality. First, let's just talk about our day, because our day is the most important time of the day, where we learn to use our spiritual tools in our daily lives, at work, at school, even on the streets, even on the sidewalks. Now, Arlene, how was your day today?
It was quite eventful.
What happened?
No, I just, from the moment that I woke up, I had to really learn to calm down in whatever situation, from traffic to going through my day and even being here right now. So that was my lesson learned today. How about you?
Me? Oh, well, there's just a bunch of work to do at work, and I have to juggle. You know, I work for at least 8 different people, but it's like on 8 different projects, so I have to be extremely zen. But, you know, on my way to work, I drive on Connecticut Avenue, and sometimes there's a sense of road rage that would like to take over, because it doesn't seem like anybody knows how to drive. So I also always have to say, peace, be still, and become extremely zen in the car.
That's true.
Now, I know you're the person that you go to school, you have a job, you do so many things in your life. How is it that you truly keep in the zen moment? And I know that we've spoken about this in the past, but I know that you have many ways of keeping extremely zen.
Well, this past week, I really had to take one of my baths to get kind of relaxed, because there was just a lot going on and I needed some me time. I also have started, and we'll talk a little bit later about journaling, and I think that's always a way to kind of get your thoughts outside of your head.
Right.
And out, just in general, and that kind of calms your mind as well. And I'm making my way back to prayer. I'm not saying that I don't pray, but I would like to pray a little bit more than I have been. And doing the rosary in the car, actually, to be honest, yes, no, because you have to catch yourself, though, because you might want to lose a moment because of something that's going on.
Right.
But to consistently go through it from beginning to end on a daily basis really helps me.
Oh, that's pretty good.
While driving.
I used to do the mala beads, you know, where you do 108. But then I stopped doing that. The problem with me sometimes is I get bored with the same thing. Like I used to do decrees. I would do 200 in the morning, 200 at night. And decrees are extremely powerful if you know how to do them. But what I realized is that I was doing them and I wasn't paying attention to what I was actually saying anymore, because it had become so repetitive and redundant. So, you know, I had to find a different way of doing affirmations, like taking one word in the Bible or just one word and just use it every single day, something extremely positive. I think, need to get back into more of a form of prayer. What I realized is that during, you know, my spiritual journey, I was doing all these decrees, I was doing all these affirmations, I was doing the prayer work, I was basically talking the talk. And I think a lot of people do that. You know, when I used to live in New York, I used to see these people reading their Bibles, or even hear they're reading their Bibles on the train. And sometimes I get conflicted, because I'm always like, are they really understanding what they're reading? Or is somebody trying to tell them what exactly is in there, trying to tell them how to live their life? And, you know, because there's a mystical aspect of the Bible that people don't seem to understand. You know, we are truly the keys to understanding the words between the words in the Bible. So I actually stopped doing all that stuff, because I realized, okay, I'm doing all this stuff, but I'm not out there embracing it. Now, I'm a good person. I like to help other people. In that aspect, I was doing the work, but I wasn't really walking the walk. I had to embody the things that I was decreeing or praying or doing a treatment for, or doing affirmations, because you can't truly delve yourself in spirituality and not become that person, you know?
Yeah, and I just want to say about when you pick up the Bible, or the people you have watched, sometimes I will pick up these things, my Bible, or I have a little runner's Bible, like a spiritual guidance thing, and it's a little piece of something that I need that moment or for the day to get through, which kind of reminds me what I'm doing, the work that I'm doing. Because sometimes you might be helping someone or have some compassion, or you're in a situation, but then something comes to try to test you.
Right.
And you're like, what in the world? Okay, I need some backup. And so, we know to go within, but also I think sometimes I look to my Bible or some of the pieces of literature that I have as a form of reminding me that I am on the right path, that I am on track, and that things are just testing me right now. And if I hold on, things will get better. And that there are people who are in my life also that remind me, that, what, despite what others say or despite the situation, you will overcome it. You are a good person.
Right.
So, it's one of those things in life. You have the two sides of the coin. But I always learn that not everyone is going to like you, and not everyone is going to be on your side.
Which is extremely true. I had a friend had a conversation with me the other night about a situation he was involved in. And basically, he tried to help this individual out. This person needed a car. And my friend put a lot of money into fixing the car for the individual. And then after that, the person wouldn't pay him for all the stuff that he put in the car. And then so the person that was trying to sell the car just got almost like a brand new car and refused to pay this individual. So my friend was extremely angry, and when he spoke to other people about it, people basically said it was his fault. But when I spoke to him about it, I basically told him, you were being you. You had a good heart, and no matter what it is, as long as your intention was in the right place, that you had a good heart, you wanted to help somebody else, that's all that matters. You did nothing wrong. It's the other people that left you with a bill, that denied everything that you did for them. Those are the people that are in the wrong. You are in the clear. There's nothing. Obviously he was very angry by the situation, but he told me after that I spoke to him, he felt really good about the situation because he realized, what did I do wrong? I was helping somebody else out. And the thing is, he learned a lesson.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that we often have a hard time facing, is the lesson that is learned in those kinds of situations, because you put yourself out there and you go the extra mile to maybe help someone, but it's not received quite the way that you want it to be received. But someone always told me, it might have been my mom, that you can always give of yourself but not expect in return.
Right.
Because when we give of ourselves, we should be giving from the heart. And freely.
Right.
But if you're giving to expect something in return, then, like you said, the intention from the jump wasn't great.
Right.
So I think keeping that in mind with the week and things that we have to do is to be living according to, I believe, our will, just to be good people and to do good deeds.
And I agree with you 100%. And I'm glad that you touched on the aspect that, it's not about what you get in return. It's about your intentions and what you put out there. What I'd like to talk about now is the topic of tithing, because that is a huge topic in many churches, many spiritual modalities, where you give back to your community, you give back to your church, you give back to your holistic center. I know that there's some churches that sometimes they say that you have to give 10% of your salary so that you can give and help support the church. But I actually disagree with that idea. A lot of people that tithe, and I don't know the whole world, but I know some people that tithe, they tithe so that they can get something in return. It's not necessarily about supporting the community, supporting the church, but it's because they know that they're going to get something in return. 9 times out of 10, these people are not getting something in return because the focus is more about them than anything else. And I believe that if you're tithing, it doesn't have to be a monetary thing. You could tithe your time. You can volunteer. You can do you can listen to somebody as a way of tithing to them, not expecting anything in return, but knowing that you have done a good deed, knowing that you have expressed yourself as a God-ordained person to another person, saying, I see you. I see the God in you. I am here to help you. And I think for myself, in viewing different things, I don't see enough people doing that. I see you doing it. I see myself. I know that my mother does it. I know I have a lot of friends that do it. But I think that it's sad that people are always expecting something or wanting something in return, not being satisfied enough to know that you've made a difference in somebody else's life.
Well, I think that has to deal with a lot of how society runs on a capitalistic me
Right.
about the individual. What can I get? And there are other societies, like let's say outside of the United States, that are more communal based, that really focus on the community and come together
Right.
to build things. And the problem lies, I think, in the beginning, like when we're younger. It's all about sharing.
Right. Right. No, yeah.
No, I work
basically.
with kids, so you see how developmentally, you start off not wanting to share because
Yeah.
children don't even really like to socialize early.
Right.
They'll play around each other, but not really in terms of, hey, you want to hang out and be best friends.
Right.
But then there comes a moment in development where we start to look at the other person like, I can potentially befriend this person and I can share something. You want to switch lunches and things of this nature.
Right.
But then we get into this selfish attitude when we get older about, oh, this is my space, these are my things, and no longer will I, want to share stuff with you. And I don't know if it's my nature, but I've always wanted to share with people, even if I don't have much.
Right.
And like you were talking about, sometimes even at church, I ask myself, what can I give this week?
Right.
And sometimes I listen to myself and it's like, oh, you've already given.
Right.
And I'm like, okay,
That's good.
I'll give X amount. It might not be the most. It might not be maybe what was expected of me, but it's something. And then other times I'll give more than what I've normally given. And so I think it's all about knowing yourself, knowing how to help others, and to be receptive and listening. Because not only listening with like our ears, but like our spiritual ears.
Right.
Because oftentimes we do get messages about things, and not reacting can oftentimes, I want to say, like, be detrimental, like you're gonna die or anything.
Right.
But things might not go as smoothly.
Yeah.
And definitely, I'm learning more about when things run smoothly.
Yeah.
It's what you're supposed to be doing, and when it's like you're missing the connections, it's like maybe not right now.
Yeah, and then when you get deeper into spirituality, your intuitive self really comes to light. You really can make decisions for yourself. Any teacher that comes into your life will try to teach you about being intuitive. And I find that it's interesting that sometimes when you start doing that intuitive stuff to yourself, they'll tell you, no, that's not what I see for you. But we must learn to discern things for ourselves. This is why these people are here. One of the things I was talking to a friend about was, being involved in ministry. When somebody decides to become a minister, you're basically saying you're here to help the world. You're here to help any individual that comes to you. It is a contract that you make with God and yourself. And that we don't actually have to be so thankful for the people that teach us, because in spirituality they tell us that before you come on this earth you sign a contract and you say that you're here to help whoever.
Right.
Whoever crosses your path, they were meant to be in your path. No matter if you like the person, you don't like the person anymore, that person was supposed to be there. And with the spiritual work, with ministry, these people were supposed to be helping us. So sometimes when I hear some of these people saying, well, I'm not being thanked for this and I'm not being thanked for that, you need to talk to yourself, because you're the one that made the decision to help these people. Mm-hmm. End of story. As long as you've known that you've done your job, that should be enough for an individual. I know when I help other people, my greatest joy is to see the laughter, to see the joy on the people's face. They don't ever have to tell me thank you, because their facial expressions or their embrace or whatever it is the best thing for me, because it's not about me. This work is not about me. And I think a lot of people that are in spirituality or ministry have forgotten the aspect that it's not about them.
And I was going to say about gifts, like we all have gifts.
Right.
And I think many people don't tap into that.
Right.
Or they use it, but not wholly.
Right.
And sometimes for self-gain. it sounds like, in some of the things that you were saying. And sometimes I think it's maybe a fear
There's
of
that.
tapping into somebody else's vibration or somebody else's life or story, because I'm so wrapped up into myself.
Right.
But like you were stating, I do believe we all have gifts.
Definitely.
And I think sometimes, and I can speak for myself, they develop later on in life.
Right.
Or you've had them, but never really zoomed in and focused on them.
Right.
Because you weren't really told that you
Right.
had these gifts.
Or sometimes if you have these gifts, you can be surrounded by people that are telling you that it's a taboo thing. Don't
Yeah.
tell other people
Yeah,
that you
that's
can do
true.
this.
That's
You know what I
true.
mean?
Yeah, and not knowing, like for me, I didn't know much really about spirituality, but I went to church growing up.
Right.
Ironically so.
Yeah,
So, sometimes you would see certain things, or you could tap into certain things, but you weren't sure what that was about. And other people might think, oh, that's a little crazy. Oh, that doesn't really exist.
right.
But the older that I've gotten, I realized, okay, I got to work with these things, because obviously, even when you have dreams, it's some kind of insight into something.
Right, yeah.
And you wake up and you're like, I wonder what that was about. But it was a message. Like last night, I was dreaming this wonderful dream about the kids at work and me playing with them with some of the toys. And all of a sudden in the dream, there was some kind of vibration from one of the gadgets, right? And then I'm like, what? I'm looking at it. But then I snapped back into waking up, and my phone was going off. It was my mom. She locked herself out this morning.
Yeah, see? So, but that was a message.
That was a message that came in my dream, and had I not heard the buzzing, and then I correlated the two, because it was just randomly placed in the dream, just out of place. And I was like, what? Why is this buzzing? And it was her calling me, hey, I left my keys inside. And I mean, I had to, literally get out of bed and go let her back in. But it was just ironic that, Spirit led that to happen in my life.
Well, dreams are a fascinating thing. And, in a future episode, we'll really delve into the aspects of dreaming. I, for a couple years, had been dreaming about ex-boyfriends for some reason. And I dreamt about one in particular. Now, I hadn't seen this man in 10, 15 years. It's been so long since I've seen this person. But I kept having dreams that he'd been having problems in his marriage. And, when I moved back to Maryland, I tracked him down. And I called him, and then I found his number, and I called him one night, and I said, well, yeah, I'm seeing how you're doing, because I recently had some dreams about you that, you're on the verge of getting a divorce, that your marriage is not going well. And he was shocked. Because the truth is, his marriage wasn't going well. He was thinking about getting a divorce and all this stuff. And so, you know what? And it's funny because now we're good friends now. And we talk about a lot of different things. He asked me about the spiritual stuff. And it's almost like a reconnecting of sorts of a friendship more than anything else. But, sometimes the answers that we get in our dreams, or the messages that we get in our dreams to talk to somebody, can lead to many wonderful things. So people really need to really listen to their dreams. But sometimes you can watch TV, and before you go to bed, and then you'll sleep, and then some of those things will come into your head, because that's happened to me too.
And that's another thing to talk about. Be careful what you take in,
right?
Because sometimes, and people say, oh, let's go see this scary movie, and I'm like, oh no. I know me personally, I cannot do scary movies, just because I will have a dream about it, and I don't like to be petrified in my dream, running and screaming bloody murder. So I do advocate people definitely watching what you take in, because it will come back to you, or get stored into your subconscious mind, and then it will come in another form.
Yeah, you know what? You're talking about scary movies. I used to see them all the time. My favorite one was Nightmare on Elm Street, because it dealt with dreams coming into reality. And then I started to ponder things for a while, and I said to myself, why am I going to the movie theater so somebody else can scare me to death?
Yeah, I know,
right? You're sitting there, you're like, Something's just not quite right with me wanting to get scared. Why am I fascinated with that? Why does it give me some kind of high? I don't know. So then I stopped watching scary movies. I think the last one that I saw was The Grudge, where that girl comes out of the television. I said, okay, that's it.
Yeah,
I was like, I don't need to watch this anymore. I think I was having dreams about it. I was like, oh, okay, that's it. No more. You know, why instill that kind of fear into your subconscious, into your consciousness? You don't need that.
And then people are walking around with that.
Yeah.
You know, they have that kind of mentality with them, and you don't know when, you know, some people snap and it takes them to places they didn't know that was inside of them.
Exactly. You know, one of the topics that I wanted to talk about, because we're going to talk about current events, is this book, which I've read, and I know that you haven't actually read the trilogy, and I know that you haven't read it, Erlene. It's called 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh, yes, I have not.
Which is a wonderful book. I love it. I have to say that I loved the entire 3 books. I read all 3 books within a week. I was like skimming. And then I was on my iPad, and I'm a book lover, but I wanted to read it fast. And I mean, I cried, I laughed, I was in shock. It was one of the greatest things for me. So there's been a lot of talk about this book because basically it's an erotic novel. And so many women, I mean, I stood in line actually to get the author's signature on my book. There were so many women behind me that were talking about the characters. I mean, they basically fell in love with this main character. The main character is hot. He falls in love with this girl, but there's a lot of sex in the book. And so I was talking to a friend of mine, somebody that you know, Lynn. We were talking about the book. And we were talking about why this book was so fascinating, is so fascinating to a lot of women. And one of the things Lynn said to me is she said, because it's the fantasy of it. Because when you read the book, you'll start reading, you'll say, okay, maybe I'll do that. Don't know if I'll do that. And you know, the main character is hot. Doesn't matter. He's like got the perfect body, perfect look. And these women, they get to live out their fantasies through this book. Now, the people that were behind me in line, they had husbands, boyfriends, and stuff. I almost asked them, aren't you doing any of this stuff with your men? Because they were so engaged in it. One woman said she had to lock herself in the bathroom so that her husband or her kids and her husband wouldn't bother her, so that she was so immersed in the book.
Man.
And I'm thinking, take the book, use it with your husband. Ryan Seacrest. I've read somewhere where he said he read the book, he uses it as a manual.
What?
Yes.
Well, I know we were watching Entertainment Tonight, and one of the reporters asked Michelle Obama if she had read the book, and she said no, she hadn't. So, and you know, tried to push into their personal lives, but you know, it is a popular book. Some of the girls at work have been trying to get me to get it. I've seen it on bookshelves.
So you can borrow mine.
Okay, maybe I will borrow Natalie's book. But I wanted to touch about the fantasy part, the aspect of it. Sometimes we do, like with movies,
right.
You know, we read and we buy into these things because there's something there, or a piece of something
that we want,
we want,
yeah,
that
desire.
we need. You know, sometimes we eat chocolate to get it. You know?
Yeah.
For some women, and sometimes a book will satisfy the quench. So you know, I'm for whatever makes people happy, and if that lady has to lock herself, you know, lock herself in the bathroom, at least she's also reading. You know?
I mean, you know, but I can honestly admit that through reading this book, like I thought I knew what I wanted in a man.
Yeah.
After reading this book, it really enhanced what I really wanted, because the character was he's confident, but he has a couple of issues that he has to iron out, but he's confident, he's mature, he really wants to satisfy this woman to the brink that she's going to scream out his name and stuff like that. He takes the time to know what she wants, what she needs. And for me, what came out was that, you know, men have forgotten, not all, men have forgotten the art of seduction. They don't take the time to know what a woman wants. Or I know that there was one time you told me how Linwood brought something to you. He didn't even ask you the things that you liked, but he noticed. He took the time to do that. And so I applaud Linwood for that, because a lot of men don't do that. They have to ask you, do you like this? Do you like that? Yeah, you're going to ask the person sometimes whether you like this or not.
Right.
But you have to be observant
Yes.
without having to ask,
Yes.
to see what the person wants, to see what the person doesn't like. And I think that in our generation, which is sad, men have forgotten to do this. It is extremely sad.
Yeah, the sentimental, not thinking the thoughts of it. Sometimes I feel men in general do take women for granted. That we are. No, we.
Yeah, no, I agree.
We provide life.
Yeah, we are the life givers.
We are.
Yeah,
so,
we can put you in this world. We can take you out.
Right. Without us, we wouldn't exist. And just simple things. And that's the thing. I think sometimes men forget. Women don't necessarily need a gigantic thing
Right.
to show that you care. It can be as simple as even picking out. Yeah, it sounds a little cliche, like some flowers.
Yeah, from the garden.
Yeah, from the garden. It don't have to be your garden.
Right.
Your wife might get upset, but just the garden and bringing it in.
I agree.
That didn't cost you anything, but it was a thought. And in that thought, the woman feels appreciated. Oh, okay. I mean, maybe not all women like flowers, but most of us do. They're very lovely things.
I love them.
I do too. I have them in my hair.
Yeah, I know.
So, on that level, I do agree. It's not really about the amount. It's the thought, really.
Yeah. So I think a lot of women were able to just live out the thing. And there's something about this book. Yes, it's an erotic novel, but there is an extremely beautiful love story that comes out of. I cried because of the pain this man went through and why he was the way that he was and why she was the way that she is.
So you agree that there has to be some kind of connection?
Oh, yeah. I mean, well.
Some relationships, I think sometimes people stay in them and they're disconnected.
Right.
And there is no reason for you to even be together.
No, I agree
just to
with
say,
you.
Oh, I have a boyfriend or I have a girlfriend.
You need a connection.
You don't treat each other
with
way,
respect. You
Yeah,
don't care.
Then I think on that level, then it shouldn't be working out.
Right.
But on relationships that do work and there is that connection, I think it's a beautiful thing, especially when two people love each other and look out for each other and want the best for each other, because not everybody can do that for one another.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's got to be a strong connection. Even after I read 50 Shades of Grey, I was like, okay, yeah, the books were done. I was like, oh my gosh, I need more of these things. So I went on Amazon.com. I'm like, erotic novel. No, I Googled actually erotic novels. And since then, I think I've read like 4 other books.
Oh.
Yes, I love them.
No, and I haven't read 50 Shades of Grey, but my ex-neighbor, she was into romance novels, and she's been into romance novels since she was a teenager, and she'd given me a stack of romance novels, and I got into them too. At one point, I was just sitting there like, oh my lord, because it was, like you said, it was the fantasy. It was the
knight in shining armor,
definitely, or the Arabian Prince.
Right. You just loved it.
It was just all these different characteristics.
Yeah, you begin to crave that. You're like, oh my
gosh,
like is this real?
Soap opera, but in the book form, right? So, but I must say, I read through them fast.
Yeah, you can't help it. You're just like, okay, let me leave some for later. And that's where I'm getting really bad, is that I will read them too fast, and then I have to get something else. I'm like, oh my God, Natalie, you're getting obsessed.
I think the ones that I was reading, I think it was like Harlan Quinn or something, and they weren't pricey. I think
they're
$4
not
or $5.
expensive. Yeah,
these tiny books, and you can go through them very fast.
No, I mean it's just crazy. So you know what? And I say to women, don't be ashamed. Buy that stuff. Read it by yourself. Some people, they're on the train and they'll try to put a little cover over it because they don't want people to know that they're reading that. It's out there. Read it. You have to be you.
Yeah, and it's probably going to be a movie soon.
Yeah, it is going to be a movie. They've been trying to research characters. One of the people they're thinking is Ryan Gosling. I like him, but he just doesn't fit the character for the. I mean, you need somebody really extremely hot. Not that he's not hot, but I feel that this guy that was on Dancing with the Stars, William Levy. I mean, he has this wonderful Cuban accent, so it doesn't go well with the character. But he's hot. I have him on his Facebook. I think he would be perfect for the role, but we'll see. We'll see what comes out, and I know millions of women will run out there and try to see this movie. So when we come back, Erlene is going to show us how to do a spiritual journey.
Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Reverend Natalie Jean, and we're back with you with the Infinite Elevation Hour. I'm here with my co-host,
Erlene Germain.
and she's going to teach us how to do spiritual journaling. Back to you, Erlene.
Thank you, Natalie. Just wanted to share briefly with you some tips on how to make a wonderful spiritual journal. It can be very, very simple. I just brought a couple of items with me today. I have some glue right here, some Elmer's glue, and a pair of scissors. Watch your scissors, okay, especially if you have children. And since it's a back to school special, we have spiral notebooks. You know, you can find those. I think they're running like 30 cents. I think we got these at Target for that much. Line paper. I like college rule just because I like to write a little bit closer in between the lines. And what I have started to do was cut out some pictures on magazine that I like, and I paste them on here. So I do suggest maybe getting a stack of magazines. It doesn't even have to be magazines. Maybe you have some newspapers, or or if you like to draw, you can do so as well. And what you'll do, and I have some pre-cut things here, you know, just dab a little bit of glue, if my glue would just work. Okay. We got to get things ready. Here you go. Okay, so we're just going to dab some glue here and put it gently on. Just some pre-cut things. I like flowers. I'll be graduating from school soon, so I found a lovely picture.
Hallelujah.
And I like to do my nails. Just something very simple and fun for you. It can be anything, you know, make it silly, make it fun. And here we go. I have my wonderful journal. And you can write in it every night or whenever you'd like to do so. I did bring a little bit of a book for those creative artists out here. This is The Artist's Way. I really stumbled across this book, and I want to say I really liked it, but I did stumble across this book. It's by Julia Cameron, and I ordered it online. It was used on Amazon and not too costly. And what I found was that it really assisted me in breaking through and discovering that I was an artist. And I do recommend this for people, and you can use it with your journaling.
Okay.
She has a 10-week follow through that you do with the book, kind of like your homework. Artist homework, in which there's some key steps that she asks you very slowly to start doing. Morning pages, you write for 30 minutes, your thoughts. Doesn't have to be anything consistent. Just try to get whatever's on your mind out. And you do that daily, however ridiculous it sounds. You don't look at it, you don't read through them. There'll be a point in it that you go back and do so.
Right.
But just as a starter block, just to unblock your creative self. Another great thing that I found from the book was some me time. She says get a couple dollars, no more than $5, and go to the dollar store. Treat yourself, you know, and buy little things, whatever. It could be silly, like little games, you know, that you find in the toy section. Just let your inner child run free, because sometimes we take ourselves a little too serious as adults and forget how to laugh and share a sense of humor. So I thought that was also a great thing from this book. And another thing was watching what you spend your money on. She has a really great series about that. Sometimes we don't realize that though we want to like take vacations or do certain things, that we do let our money go to frivolous things. I will admit I am one of those people.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but there is a way to get on track for things to kind of flow the way that they're meant to do so. So I do advocate doing this. And for me, a good time to, I would say, write is at night sometimes.
Okay.
If I do have a quiet moment, I will just crack open. And of course, this one's empty, but my real journal is full of thoughts, poetry, people I don't like, people I do like, situations, you know, affairs, love, just things that I feel that are personal, but aren't really so, but it's kind of like things we go through. We're human, and though it's a spiritual journal, I don't want to say you can't let loose and be free. You
Right,
know, oh my
right.
God, I can't write that word. Yes, you can. Let it out if that's how you feel, and write it in big bold words. Use a Sharpie. It's permanent. So you know, I'm really getting more and more into it, and I know I should do it maybe on a regular basis. But sometimes I do have a challenge with my schedule. I'm really, really tired at night, and I
Right.
can't do it. But then there's a part of me that's yearning. Please, please write something down, you know. So that's the thing that I'm having to deal with myself.
Right.
But I do, like you, like to read or go through magazines. I have a stack of magazines. My friend just gave me some new ones. I'm waiting for the time to sit down with myself and go through them. So there really isn't anything to spiritual journaling, and I think anyone can do it. It just takes a little bit of time, just carving out some me time. And, you know, though Miss Cameron may recommend 30 minutes of writing your morning pages, it could be 5 minutes. A little quick to-do list or things of that nature really goes a long way. And now I know we've gone away from maybe journaling by hand. Some people
Type,
have their
yeah.
gadgets.
Or their, yeah.
That's another great way. I know a parent with the children that I work with. We have a Q&A session, question and answer, and she brought up how they're making a book for the child. So ever so often, she writes stuff down,
Right,
and it
right.
could be on her phone. And if she journals, she goes and types it up. But she wants to have a memoir type
that's
of a
cool.
book for him, that when he gets older,
he can look
look back at it. Oh, on this day I enjoyed some peas and carrots. And on this day I learned to walk. You know, and I
Right.
thought that was really nice. And they're going to throw in some pictures and make it a really family-oriented book. And I thought that was really neat, because sometimes we get away from simple, you know, little things going
Right.
a long way. And also creating like some family traditions that I think would be a nice touch in the
Right.
long run, in the future. And it's also a good memento to have. You know.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm always into keeping books and journals and things that are tangible.
Well, I'm like a journal freak. I have so many, but I have the leather bound journals and the other kind of journals, and I am a freak. They're all empty. Well, one I started writing in, and then I lost patience with it. But every time I go somewhere and there's a journal, I like have to have one. I don't know what it is about these journals. I love it, but I just I haven't taken the time to actually write down.
And you never know, Natalie. Those might come in handy later
Yeah.
on. Because I always find myself doing what you do. I go somewhere and I see a journal, I'm like, oh my God. Especially when Borders was around. I'm like, oh my God, oh my
You're
God.
like, oh my God.
That is so
This is
nice. Okay, I'll get it. And then I have like a stack of them. But what I did find, they make really nice presents for people.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely.
And also later on, like I'll be like, oh, I need a, sketchbook. Oh, I have one.
Yeah, no,
I
yeah.
bought one a year ago. Here it is. So it's funny, things that you buy now you might not think you need,
right.
but later on down the line you'll be thankful that you had them. So I think journaling is one of those things too, because sometimes I do go back and read stuff and I'm like, what? Did I really write that? What was I going through? You know?
No, yeah.
Ooh, thank God I overcame that situation.
Now,
So
with,
it's a
with
good
the
thing.
journaling, yes, and I noticed that you put pictures on the front of the notebook, the journal, of the things that you like. But can somebody also use it? You know, there's this thing called a vision board.
Yeah.
So basically, could you put together a bunch of photos of things that you'd like to manifest?
Way, and also creating like some family traditions that I think would be a nice touch in
Right.
the long run, in the future. And it's also a good memento to have. You know.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm always into keeping books and journals and things that are tangible.
Well, I'm like a journal freak. I have so many, but I have the leather bound journals and the other kind of journals, and I am a freak. They're all empty. Well, one I started writing in, and then I lost patience with it. But every time I go somewhere and there's a journal, I like have to have one. I don't know what it is about these journals. I love it, but I just haven't I haven't taken the time to actually write down.
And you never know, Natalie. Those might come in handy later
Yeah.
on. Because I always find myself doing what you do. I go somewhere and I see a journal. I'm like, oh my God. Especially when Borders was around. I'm like, oh my God, oh my
You're
God.
like, oh my God.
That is so
This is
nice.
good.
Okay, I'll get it. And then I have like a stack of
Next.
them. But what I did find, they make really nice presents for people.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely.
And also later on, like I'll be like, oh, I need a, sketchbook. Oh, I have one.
Yeah, no,
Oh, I
yeah.
bought one a year ago. Here it is. So it's funny, things that you buy now you might not think you need,
right.
but later on down the line you'll be thankful that you had them. So I think journaling is one of those things too, because sometimes I do go back and read stuff and I'm like, what did I really write that? What was I going through?
No, yeah.
Oof, thank God I overcame that that situation.
Now,
So
now
it's a
with
good
the
thing.
journaling, yes, and I noticed that you put pictures on the front of the notebook, the journal of the things that you like. But can somebody also use it? There's this thing called a vision board.
Yeah.
So basically, could you put together a bunch of photos of things that you'd like to manifest
I think
now,
so.
later, or whenever?
I think definitely. And that's the fun part of being creative with it. You can make it your own. There isn't a set standard, and I think that's what people fail to understand about life in general.
Right.
There isn't really a standard. What I've learned
Right.
that you have to hold up to. Maybe society says, oh, you have to go to these kind of schools. You have to
Right.
get this, and you have to go here and climb this and reach the glass ceiling, blah,
Right.
blah, blah. But there really isn't a set standard, so you can make it your own. So whatever we were talking earlier about, whatever defines you, whatever you find within yourself. So
Right.
if you definitely are interested in making a vision board through your journaling, I think that would be an excellent idea, because then you're also bringing more stuff out of you.
Right.
It's not just, oh, these are things I like, okay, but maybe things that I want to have in the future or that are coming my way, and a constant reminder, because that'll be your motivation also
Right.
to come back to the book and open it. Because sometimes, like you said, they collect dust and you're like, oh, okay, whatever. But I think it's always an incentive in life to come back to journaling, to come back to maybe reading your books, whether it's 50 Shades of Grey, because I'm
Right.
sure if you read it a second time again, you're going to pick up something you didn't catch the first time.
Right. Right.
It's just where our consciousness is at that moment. We get what we get, but then as our consciousness expands, sometimes we're able to get more.
Right.
And I think that's what journaling is for me, is that it's part of the journey. It's documenting bits and pieces of the journey for you. And also like a little reminder that you are alive, you are a spiritual being inside,
Right.
despite the challenges that you might have on the day-to-day, with the constant reminders from society that you are a physical being, but you have a physical body, but you're here to have a spiritual experience, I believe. So just keep it up. I want to say that I will do my best on a weekly basis. Maybe I can do a little check-in on how my journaling experience is going. I don't make any promises because we are, taping, but just a reminder, I need it,
Right.
And it's like food, you need that for your body to function. And as creative individuals, we have certain things that we need to do.
And I think that journaling is a fantastic thing. I know that when I was dating this guy, I used to write about him in the journal, and then when the relationship ended, I went back to the journal and I looked at everything and I ripped every page out.
That's good.
I looked at it. I said,
You had a cleansing moment.
I had a cleansing moment.
Did you burn everything?
Huh?
Did you burn it?
I didn't burn it.
Okay.
I ripped it. I didn't burn it. I ripped it. I read it and I said, I said, and Natalie, you're not going to do this again. Not the journaling part, but the experiences that I had in the relationship. I went back. I was like, really? Did I really say this about this person? So I do like the aspect of going back and, reading your thoughts and seeing where you were.
And it's kind of funny because you'll see how much you've developed.
Oh, yeah.
because as you look through the sequence, and like when I was really journaling, it was like every day. But even if you go from like month to month or however long it fits your schedule, you'll see how much growth you've experienced in that time frame. And then you're thinking, you're like questioning it, and you're smiling or you're crying or whatever emotions that you get out of it. But I think the point is it comes out, because sometimes people hold stuff in, they bottle it up, they don't even tell anybody, and it's festering and it's bothering
No, you
them.
gotta write
It's
it. It's a different way to unleash everything that's going on in you.
And even if you're not into journaling, you can record yourself.
Yeah.
I saw on television one guy, he took pictures of himself every day.
Wow.
To see his progress. And there was even a designer that wanted to document
his progression.
Not the progression of junk food.
Yes.
I think you saw that, right? And he filmed himself getting fatter and fatter from the amounts of candy bars he was eating every day. Yeah, he would go and buy like tons of candy bars and just eat it all up. And then he saw how much weight he gained. And then once he stopped eating that, he lost it all back. But it's just different creative things that we can do with our time. You know, sometimes I know we get locked into sitting down. We're thankful that you're watching this program, but you know, sitting down and watching television endlessly. You know, an hour, okay, that's great, but to not really maybe hang out with your kids or go catch a ball game or you know, just do something a little bit, work out. You know, I think is not healthy.
No, I agree. So we're going to take a quick break here, and when we get back, we still have a couple more minutes. I will show you one little thing on spiritual fitness, and then we'll enlighten you with some spirituality. So we'll be back soon.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Reverend Natalie Jean, and this is the Infinite Elevation Hour. I'm here with my co-host,
Erlene Germain.
So right now what we wanted to show you is a little bit of spiritual fitness. I am a personal trainer and an aerobics instructor. I teach water aerobics, I teach boot camp, I teach cycling, and I teach Zumba, where everybody gets to shake their booty. But what I wanted to show everybody is what you can do when you're sitting at home or even in the shower. You could do this like for 5 minutes a day or 20 minutes a day if you truly want to work on your abs. So basically, Erlene, you want to sit straight in your chair, feet flat.
All right.
And you hands on your thighs, and you basically just want to hold your stomach in for 20 seconds. So we hold our stomach ins, 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 and then we release. Okay. And then we do it again. And then we release. And then we hold it again. So this is a great way to do your abs. But at the same time, what you want to do when you're closing your eyes and you're doing it, you can meditate at the same time. This is why it's called spiritual fitness. So when you're holding, you can visualize actually something that you'd like to manifest at that moment. While you're holding your abs, you're holding them, you're visualizing the thing you want to manifest, and boom, you open your eyes back up again. 5 seconds later, you're holding it again. You're visualizing the same thing or something different. Boom, you're letting it go. So you can actually do this while you are sitting at work or sitting in a car or sitting somewhere, or you can actually do this in the shower as well. But at that point, obviously, you're going to be standing, or I don't know, I don't know what y'all doing in the shower.
No, maybe you're taking a bath.
Or you're taking a bath.
That'll be a good one.
But if you're standing, you basically do the same thing. Hold it, 20 seconds, let it go.
All right.
And you can visualize. So that's a little something that they can do. So the next thing we wanted to talk about is just, a little bit of spiritual awareness, a little bit of, you need to really take your me time. You really need to focus on who you are as an individual, not what people want you to be. That's a big problem. And I think in our today's culture is that people tend to want to go with the flow or go with whatever anybody else is doing. And the thing is, you really need to stick to who you are. People are always going to try to change you. I know that people sometimes change you when they see that you're bettering your life and you're doing great and they're still stagnant. That's when they really want you to be like them. Some people, your closest friends, your family, they may not want to see you move forward. It's a jealousy aspect. It's a human conditioning. They haven't gotten to where you are in your spirituality to understand you have finally found yourself. You are God ordained. You're speaking your truth, and you're happy with who you are. And I find it very sad that people will tend to try to change you because they're not happy with themselves. You know what I
and
mean?
I'm glad you brought that up because oftentimes people do that to make themselves feel better. It's like the little the paradigm shift that they see something in you that they wish that they
Right.
could have in themselves or manifest in themselves, though it's there. They rather tear you down,
Right.
or tear your dream down. And that's why I'm always, you have to be kind of, what's the word, hush hush about maybe some of the things that you're
Right,
doing,
right.
just to make sure that they're protected.
Right.
And not saying you can't tell people, but maybe the right people, because not everyone has a good intention
Right.
for you. And you, I mean, at this age, you should know who's with
Right.
you and who's not. But sometimes it is shocking when people who you think are with you are not with you.
Yeah.
But I'm always trying to be positive and think positive with the things that I do. And I don't really keep many people around me.
No,
But,
yeah, no, I understand that.
and it's not necessarily that I'm not friendly or anything, but it's just how I'm busy. I mean, I don't really have time to be on the phone and do a million things with other people. But I've just, as I've gotten older, have learned to protect myself in that way, and to also let things come out when they were meant to come out,
Right.
and not prematurely get stunted and not grow. Like, your seeds, you're planting your little seeds, and you don't want anybody to come stomp on them or grow some weeds or whatever. So we want some beautiful flowers to come out.
No, you know what? I agree with you. I specifically the point that you make that you don't talk about everything. Because sometimes when you talk about something, these people come out to kill you, they stab you, try to squash your dreams, and their negative energy sometimes overpowers that. I know a friend of mine, she made a statement at church one day. She was talking about how she met this guy. This guy was wonderful. She's never been happier. And it was at the beginning of the relationship that she started talking about this story. And so she was so happy. And then next Sunday, I saw her at church, and she was just like, I will never say another word again. After she made the testimony about her relationship, she said the guy and her began to argue like you would not believe. And then the relationship ended. And so that was a lesson for her. But she thought that because she was in a church setting, that she think those people were supportive, that they were embracing her. What she didn't realize is that some people, no matter what, they are going to be jealous of the fact that you found a man and they didn't.
Yeah.
Because so many of them are trying to seek somebody. And I was very sad for her because she really wanted to be in a relationship, and she was so happy. But you know what? It brought her closer to God in the sense that she has evolved. She learned from that experience. She said she'd never do it again. And I learned from that experience too. There are certain things that, I will be extremely vocal about. And there's certain things that I won't be. The other day, something happened to me, and I was like, I'm going to call these people. Yes, I said I was going to curse them out. And then I decided, no. Something said, no, now that you can't go down that path. You're in ministry. You can't really do that stuff anymore. And I said, you know what? I'm going to say peace be still to the situation where I could have been, ugly. I could have been extremely ugly.
And I had a similar situation. We went to New York for my birthday, and we had a terrible experience on this bus line. I won't mention any
Yeah,
names.
you told me.
But what's funny is I was to call them and get my refund. So I kid you not, I tried, and I tried to get through. I tried, but it wasn't going through. And I was just getting angrier and angrier. And I said, you know what? Maybe it's not meant for me to get my money back from these people because if it were, it would be smooth.
Right.
You know, I would get the operator and it would just go through. Plus, I wasn't in the right frame of mind. Because I said, oh, the minute whoever picks up this phone,
they're going to get it.
You know? Oh. And then I had to catch myself in that moment. I said, oh, okay, Spirit was catching me right there because I was like, getting ready to do it. And I said, you know what? It was what it was.
Right.
You know, I got there, thank God. I had the experience, and I'm here. I'm back safely, you know. And that's, sometimes we get outside of that and more into that human emotion. They're going to get it from me. But I'm glad I didn't do that because I think that showed me a part of me that I was able to control myself, you know. And though it was like some money, it's okay. I got my end of the deal, so I was fine with it.
Well, the thing is, you know, recently what's been happening to me is that I've been dealing with customer service. Now I do customer service myself from time to time at my job, and I find that there's a lack of graciousness in customer service. I mean, it's been
a lot of the times these days.
No, yeah, well, I know about that too. And I get irritated with them, and I said, you know, I'm glad you have a job in Philippines or India or wherever you are. I'm glad you're feeding your family. But you know what? It is hard to deal with you guys because, one, you're not here and you don't understand what I'm going through.
Yeah.
I said, I'm glad that this one man was like, oh my God, you're hurting my feelings. But I said, imagine this. There are people starving in your country. Nobody's giving you a job. But then you outsource to another country. You have to understand the pain of the people. You have to understand that if I'm talking to you at 8, 9 o'clock at night and you're telling me you're in Zimbabwe, that really doesn't help me.
Yeah.
You know, these past weeks, these people have been here, but customer service, they're so condescending. They put words in your mouth. They get attitudes. And I fight back. I said, let me tell you something. You don't want to deal with me? Give me your supervisor. Give me somebody else. But you will not talk to me that way. I said, what happens to the client comes first? I said, no, that doesn't exist anymore.
No, a lot of values, I would say. Just common courtesy, you know.
They don't have that.
Yeah, things have gotten outside of the door because the minute I think people hear what they don't want to hear, you know, it goes like, what? Say what? Even in simple bill mistakes, I had an issue with a phone carrier over a bill. Can you even imagine getting your phone bill, right? Now, this is a true story, honest to God, okay? My mother gets her regular bill, and instead of charging her $100, instead of charging her, I think it was $60 for the phone bill, they went into her account for $6,000.
Woo! Oh, woo!
Okay.
Woo!
And then tried to tell her she didn't pay the bill. And then, so that was a headache in and of itself. But, you know, these things happen and them not realizing or owning up to the mistakes, you know. I mean, I had to call, like, people who regulate these giant companies and get them to interfere. Oh, got credits and all kind of things on the account, but still to get your money back. Oh, it's easy for them to take your money, but
$6,000. That is totally different.
No, I know, but why would you charge somebody $6,000 for a phone bill?
Yeah, well, there it is.
You know what I'm saying? That's just okay. $600, I can understand.
But $6,000, they should have seen the mistake.
Right. So
it should have been easy. Give the money back.
I think the check said, you know, 60.00, but whoever read it did not see the decimal.
Ooh, they're so lucky that did not happen to me.
Yeah. So she was calm about it for a little bit, but the longer the process took, because I noticed it's always easy for people to take your money, but when you want it back,
it takes forever.
It's like wait, what happened? No, you know, wait a second. We have some issues here. Even when you try to get refunds for things you've purchased.
Well, you know what I do? I said, and don't take your time in getting me back my money. Just like when you call people to say that you need your money, that you need it right away, you're going to give me this right away. Don't talk to me about 3 to 4 business days. You have to look at me like I'm the business now.
Yeah,
$6,000, I would have been at ABC on your side, NBC on your side. Natalie would have been on TV, CNN. I don't know what it would have been, but that money would have been back in my... What?
Yeah, they gave her back the money, but it just took a lot of phone calls and this and that and misplaced this and just the runaround, because no one wants to take the blame for it.
Right.
But you made the mistake, so okay, let's correct that. You know.
So when you're dealing with that kind, oh Lord, when you're dealing with that kind of situation, you truly need to be extremely zen.
Yes,
So
we do.
at that point, the affirmation that I would do is that God is my support, God is my supply. God is my support, God is my supply. Then you get into a zen moment and you know that God is working out the plan. You still can call these other people to tell them they better get that money in the account or in the account sooner than later. Work that out. Use those affirmations. God is my support. God is my supply. And you'll see the wonderful transformations that will take place right then and there. Yes. This is the Infinite Elevation Hour. I am your host, Reverend Natalie Jean, and my co-host,
Arlene Germain.
And we will be back with you with next week's with some wonderful new ideas for shows and more information on spirituality. Take care.
Thank you.